Every year, over 600,000 people attend the Big Fresno Fair, located on the Fresno Fairgrounds in Fresno, California. Founded in 1884, people can enjoy live music, exhibits, and attractions based on local agricultural, community performances, food, rides, and horse racing. The fair is one of the biggest fairs in California and lasts 2 weeks. After the fair is over, the fairgrounds are used for other events, such as weddings, resulting in around 1.7 million people visiting the fairgrounds annually. The Fresno Fairgrounds is a place of celebration and joy, but not too long ago, it was a place of incarceration.
Your commentator is Joe O'Brien. Here is the motion picture record released by the United States Navy of the havoc wrought by the Japs' sneak sky and sea raid on Pearl Harbor, America's mid-Pacific naval bastion.
On December 7, 1941, the Japanese surprise attacked the naval base Pearl Harbor, located in Hawaii. The attack lasted over 2 hours, killing over 2,400 Americans. At the time, 120,000 Japanese Americans who lived on the West Pacific coast. Americans were afraid they were going to launch another attack, even though 2/3 were citizens. It had an emotional impact on U.S. citizens and fueled their anti-Japanese beliefs. Americans saw them as competition, as they were successful in business and agricultural, and wrongfully associated them with their beliefs about Chinese immigrants. On February 19, 1942, President Roosevelt signed Executive Order 9066. This meant that all Japanese citizens were to be relocated to an assembly center located near them. The anti-Japanese sentiment the nation had at the time led to the mistreatment of Japanese Americans in internment camps.
I was 9 years old when, in 1941, Japan bombed Pearl Harbor. And in May of the following year, we found ourselves in a detention center with the barbed wire fence all around the rodeo grounds. They had filled it with barracks.
In 1942, the Fresno Assembly Center was built on the Fresno Fairgrounds to house over 5,000 Japanese Americans from May 6th to October 30th.
And then they loaded us on dilapidated, old, unused trains and shipped us to, we didn't know where at the time. All we knew was we're going someplace, heading we didn't know where.
Life in the Fresno Assembly Center was an experience that affected thousands of Japanese Americans during World War II. Families were forced to pack up their things and move to remote locations without time to get situated.
We were told we could only take two duffel bags per person. No toys, no books, no pets, just whatever was necessary for our clothing.
During this time, it was a struggle for a lot of people. Japanese citizens were mistreated and put into encampments just off of their ethnicity. There were a total of 32 children born through the duration of the camps.
There were 6 children at the time. Another one was born in the camp, and another one was born after camp. So my mother said I had batch number 1 and batch number 2, and she said I was so happy I had 8 children, 5 boys and 3 girls.
Many Japanese Americans were relocated to multiple concentration camps in America. Many Japanese Americans didn't know which location they were going to.
My mother had loaded us with lots of clothes, extra clothes, because she didn't know where we were going, whether it's hot or cold, in the heat of summer. And it was 120 degrees, and with all our sweaters and blouses and jackets and coats on us, we were naturally having to peel off as fast as we could.
Those living at the camps were able to set up churches, schools, farms, and newspapers. Because of how long the Fresno Assembly Center was open, they had a wide educational program with summer and fall programs. Classes were held in the recreation centers or even outside.
Baseball was big in camp. As we settled down more, baseball games in front of our house was barrack number 1. You know the Zenny Yao restaurant here in Fresno? Well, their family is of that Zenimura family that brought baseball. They're the one of the Zenimura brothers is the father of baseball, Japanese American baseball.
These families were forced to live on a field where horses now race at the fair. Those living in the camps used common bathrooms and laundry facilities, but hot water was usually limited. Although the center was run by authorities, those living in the center tried to make the best out of the situation at hand. Japanese traditional events still occurred through the duration of the concentration camp. Cultural dancing would take place. Both Buddhists and Protestants had regular services on Sundays in 2 of the recreation buildings. There were 4 Protestant and 2 Buddhist ministers, and a combined total of 900 who attended the Sunday services. Those living in the camps had to follow strict rules and live in overcrowded camps. Just like most temporary detention centers, the Fresno Assembly Center consisted of barbed wire fences and military police. The center was patrolled by military police who would shoot anyone who tried to escape the assembly center. Japanese citizens had to abandon their homes along with local businesses that they couldn't continue to operate. These citizens lost around $400 million in property.
Well, we lost everything when we came back. My family went to get their things, but there was not anything salvageable, or the car was a shell. Everything was taken out of the car, and all our belongings the trunks were opened and just strewn about. The beautiful clothing and kimonos and artifacts were ruined. So there was nothing.
New elected President Harry S. Truman signed Executive Order 9742 in 1946, which allowed the Japanese internment camps across America to shut down. When the camp closed, it was transformed into the 4th Air Force Technical Training Command on November 9, 1942. This is one of the 12 California assembly centers to share California Historical Landmark number 934, established in 1980. The Fresno Fairgrounds have developed several memorials and plaques that share the history of the Fresno Assembly Center for people to view and witness. The city of Fresno has also developed a memorial dedicated to those that were imprisoned into the encampments just located within Fresno. In 1988, the remaining survivors were sent formal apology letters and $20,000 from the U.S. government.
But we felt that the government did wrong, and they need to pay. They need to pay. And at first we just wanted an apology letter, but that's not gonna hack it, they said. So you have to attach money to it, and then that will help them not to do it again. I don't feel anger, or I feel sadness that such a thing happened, and it was quiet for so many years that America didn't know about it. They still don't know about it, and that's the sad part of history. If no one knows your history, then it's like you never existed. And we made a major contribution to American society through the young men who gave their lives and served their country while their parents and families were in a concentration camp. So that's That's the power of dignity, the power of self-image that we had. Um, I mean, that was us. We don't demonstrate. We don't go smashing cars and buildings, and we don't try to do our neighbor in and beat them up because we feel so angry at what the government is doing to us. No, we take it in, and uh, we hold it in. We control ourselves. We don't do things like that. That's bringing shame on our people. And one of the culture words that we use is haji. We don't bring shame on our family, our community, and our country. This is a free country. We love our country. No matter what our country has done to us, it's still a wonderful country. And my father, he said, America is a wonderful country. He came to America when he was in his early 20s. And he said he had no hope for the future in Japan. But he came to America, and he was a good farmer. He knew how to farm. So my father was making money because he worked hard and farmed and grew all kinds of vegetables and marketed them himself. So he made money. And so he was grateful to America.